How are you? Welcome. Jump on, jump on and say hi. Jump on. No, really. Happy Tuesday. We have another fun Friendsgiving event planned. If you missed the last one, go check it out. I know a lot of you guys were saying that you really loved it. It was packed full of inspiration, information. And today we're going to basically throw a lot more inspiration at you. So a lot of ways to bring the wonder of fall to your scrapbooks. I love scrapbooking fall pages. And right now, we, of course, for our Friendsgiving week, we are still doing it through the end of this week. So if you have not had a chance to check out the specials and the inspiration that we have over on our Friendsgiving page, we'll throw that in the chat, all right, so that you can get that and take a peek at all of that, all right? Dave said he's got it. All right. Now, let me quickly let me share my screen here so you guys can kind of see. So for our Friendsgiving, we are doing 50% off some autumn inspired sets. I'm going to be creating with a few of them this evening. And with that, really just sharing some techniques on ways that you can add textures and other fun elements. Because here at Kiwi Lane, something that we always say is we encourage you to use your stash, meaning we play friendly. The Play to Create system is literally designed, one, to take advantage of your paper stash and the beautiful patterns in paper that we all love as scrapbookers. But two, because we are scrapbookers ourselves, we also wanted personally a system that help us to utilize the other things that we might have in our stash. Now, of course, we always like simple here at Kiwi Lane. Simple, cute. If you can have both, that's like the perfect formula for us. But with that said, there are definitely so many fun things that you can dab into or possibly already have at home that we want to encourage you to include them on your pages. They're fun. They help you get into the creative flow. All of those things are beneficial. All right, so make sure to check out, again, that link, 50% off certain item inspired sets during our Friendsgiving. And then also anything in our last chance. Okay, so there's also another section called last chance that you'll want to check out. All right. Now, of course, we already went over the last event. We went over the things that are new in the shop. So, for example, Lullaby and Lunar Crescents. So fun. We shared those in our launch event. And then last event, we shared the sets that came back in stock. So like a la carte, Nativity, Hallmark, Harvest, and so forth. All right. So today I want to kind of take a peek at some of these sets. Made with Love is an awesome fall set. If you don't have it, I mean, this is like my kind of invitation. You won't regret it. I honestly can say that. It's so much fun to create with. And of course, the Patchwork of Memories kit, the paper kit, which I'm going to be playing with tonight. Those are 50% off in the Friendsgiving sale. All right. And we're just going to go over some texture techniques for adding to your fall layouts, from sewing to ribbon to vellum, just so many fun things that you can do. Now, on this layout that you see right here, you can actually see I did a little bit of stitching, and I also added some vellum, those brown vellum leaves on this. So let's go ahead and go to stitching the overhead. I'll share with some basic stitching things, and we'll do a few things together. And another thing really quickly before we change views, I did stitching around the leaf at the bottom of that layout that you see there. But the stitching around the big leaf is just it's doodling just with a pen, which is also fun. So there's like the fake stitching, and then there's the real stitching, right?
I think in the design world, we don't call it fake, we call it faux.
Oh, faux stitching. Sorry, it's faux stitching, right? But I will say, naturally, I do faux stitching a lot. And when I'm in the mood, I do real stitching. All right, so before I go to more inspiration for fall, let's jump to our down view here and we'll take a peek at some of our things that we have on our messy, messy table. I was telling Dave, I'm like, whoa, this table is messy.
It has been used
It has.
creatively.
It's been in the works. All right, so I have actually started this layout the other night, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to just use this for today's event. So again, I pulled out Patchwork of Memories, and I love this paper kit. If you don't have it, check it out. You don't want to miss it during our Friendsgiving, like I said. I feel like I'm repeating myself because I love it so much, guys. No, genuinely, I love it so much. It's such a fun set. With that is the big, let me grab them really fast. The leaf, and you could see in that last picture, I actually did all of these little details specifically in that design. In this layout that I'm designing right now, I just want to use it as the big leaf, not necessarily all those fun little other details that add versatility. And then of course, even this one is really cute. This is all in the Made with Love. They're larger sets. This is literally, I don't even know, 11 by 11, maybe like 8 by 8. And then also somewhere on this messy table is the little banner. That's super cute. All right. So as far as stitching goes, personally, when I choose to stitch, I am not a perfectionist, meaning I don't need my dots all to be the same width away from each other. I've heard a few people mention that in the community, like, well, how do you know the widths and all of this? And I guess I don't. I guess my answer is I don't know. But I think for me, whenever I add stitching, I like that little bit of, it's very much adds a texture to your layouts that is supposed to be kind of like that handmade effect. And so I think that naturally, because of that, I think I don't like it to be uniformed, me personally. All right. Now, if you end up seeing my layouts for whatever it's worth, and you're like, oh, but I really love the afterthought, and you're not obsessing over them not being exact, well, that's a good sign that you're probably being too hard on yourself. Because if you end up loving my layout and you're like, but I love that effect and the results, just know that I'm not being exact on mine. Yeah, I'm not a perfectionist when it comes to things like that. Now, this is a really fun layout. I used Nature Walk, and I also used Autumn. So Autumn is also in here with these leaves and this tree on sideways. I'll show you another picture here in a minute with the Autumn tree, which, by the way, Autumn is another set that is 50% off. All right, so make sure to check those out. And then, of course, the banner and the ribbon is also in the set too. Okay, so you check those out as far as which ones are on sale. So you can see on this layout, I remember when I stitched on this layout, guys. So again, faux stitching, I just always have my white pin or my black pin handy, and I tend to do a little doodling whenever I'm in the mood. But in this regards, I remember I designed the layout, right? And I had all my pieces visualized, and then I started cutting the pieces out, going through the play to create process. And then I thought, you know what? I'm kind of in the mood to add some thread and stitching to this layout. And so I kind of took it as a next step, meaning I had all the layers cut out and inked and all the things. And so I could have just finished my layout right then, right? But in this case, like I said, I thought, let's add a little stitching. That sounds fun to me. I decided to take my page before I adhered it down into my living room, and I put a movie on, and I just started with some thread and adding, stitching to different elements. And I will say, by kind of approaching it that way, for me personally, it really kind of definitely, I don't know, just kind of added to the flow, right? Because I was able to do these things mindlessly watching a movie, and it just kind of kept my hands busy anyways. Otherwise, I'd fall asleep during a movie. And then of course, after I finished stitching, then I was like, okay, let me adhere all my pieces, and the layout was done. But listen, the stitching probably took as long as completing the rest of the layout. So I watched a 2-hour movie. It took them 2 hours to finish the stitching, I believe. I'm trying to recall, but I'm pretty sure it did. So listen, when you see stitching on a page, it's not like a quick, thing per se, but it is a fun effect. And really all you need to do it is a foam pad and a poker of some kind. I have multiple different ones. I have this just happened to be out. This is my little seam ripper. And I thought, oh, that works. And so I didn't even go really hunting for my whole, my poker. I have a Tim Holtz poker wherever it went, which is why I didn't go hunting for it. Either way, you need some sense of a poker. All right.
So Gail says, kind of what you were saying before, I feel like stitching adds to a rustic and or handmade look. And
it does.
And it shouldn't be perfect. That defeats the purpose, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Lisa says she agrees, but she also says
uniform is better.
She says my mom taught me to embroider. She is turning over in the grave over
not being uniform.
But
I would say embroidery is different.
She says not uniform is better. She agrees.
Yeah, and I would say that it is different. And it's interesting that you mentioned your mom, because I was going to say that. I was sitting here starting the stitch, and then I thought, you know what, I'm going to stop for a moment, and then we can just go through this together live. But I will say, whenever I touch a needle or a thread, it makes me think of my mom as well. And so there's something also very, one, therapeutic, but also nostalgic about that too. So maybe I should sew on my pages more. But like I said, I almost treat my page. This is like almost to a finishing place on this layout so far. But now I'm like, okay, I'm going to go and add another hour or so onto my time that I'm going to spend on this page. And we don't need to necessarily always be in a rush to finish pages. And that's why I say sometimes when I'm in the mood, and that's just the truth. We all have different phases and interests and styles and moods. And for me, I always talk about my mood, because I'm like, if I'm in the mood, I'll do it. So with that said, when you're asking like, well, how do you keep the holes? Because like I said, a lot of people kind of struggle with that. I just kind of punch them. So not uniformed, not perfect, but you just go around and you do it on the edge. I will say you want to make sure you're not right on the edge. So you're a good 1/4 inch away from the design that you're trying to add. And in most cases, I'm trying to rack my brain. I don't think there's any template, if you have a desire to add it, stitching to it, that wouldn't be easy to add it to. I tend to like to add it into the middle of things. So again, middle of leaves, if I choose to do it, or outside edges of larger things. There has been a time where I even added it to the edge of a border. That was really fun and easy to do. So I tend to do things like that. So larger, this leaf, and maybe balance it somewhere on the other side. I haven't gone that far. So I went around and I already poked those. And so again, I just kind of go in and poke those, right?
Gail says push pins and old mouse pads are my tools for making the holes stitching on paper. So definitely use what you have.
Yes. I was going to say the same thing. I was like, if you have a mouse pad, that's a good foam pad. Or I usually just keep a push pin right here in my foam pad. So you can just pick it up and so it just depends if you want your hands, because sometimes with a push pin, I just feel like my nails get in the way, right? Like I'm like, ugh. And so I like to have a grip more like this when I'm doing it. So, and I found that the seam ripper surprisingly does work, because it has the other point and it just kind of almost stops it. Not that you have to stop it, but it almost like pushes back when you're doing it. So little coincidence having this on my table for some reason. I don't know why, but it's there. So I haven't sewn lately, so I don't know why it's there. But
Lisa says, I guess we'll need to try this in my great-grandson's family tree book.
Yes,
awesome.
That's right. I heard you talking about that project. Okay, so I'm just doing a whip stitch here, guys. You could definitely do a running stitch where you just kind of go up and down, up and down. It almost, of course, looks like, again, the faux stitching. A running stitch would look like, go back to the image, that you could see along the edge of that. where you just go up, down, up, down. But you could see on even the leaf in this layout, I should have pulled this layout out, but that's okay. Of my albums, I should have pulled it out of my albums. On the leaf too, I went with a whip stitch. So listen, stitches I think have like 3 different names, but that's how I learned it, was a whip stitch. So I think there's another term. I can't remember what it is for that stitch, but basically you just go, over and down. So here, Dave, can you go back to the overview here?
Yes, ma'am.
And
I like to serve.
Yeah, I like to serve. So it's just, you go down and around the edge. Okay, so you're just going down. Now you don't want your needle to, of course, to go in between the thread. You want it to go around that. And so you want to make sure you pay attention to that. And you just kind of pull it slowly. Don't pull too hard. You are messing with paper. And I will say, I would never attempt this on thinner paper. I think I would be just annoyed as heck. So no, I don't think I would ever attempt it on any type of thinner paper in this case. So I think I just got a knot in mine after I said, don't do that. Let's see if I can pull that through. But there we go. Okay. Now I am using a Kiwi Club kit. So it's the stronger paper, and that's pretty impressive that that knot went through even on this paper, because I was like, oh, but it does. I'm going to have to work past that knot now, or I can just pull it back and throw it again. But no, it seems to be going through. So pretty simple, pretty easy, but you can see definitely takes a little time. But just like inking takes no thinking, I will say once you get into this, this is why it's so nice. And that's why I kind of take my pages in phases, because you can just put a movie on and just poke the holes and then just kind of go one at a time. Flow state. Yeah. So it definitely gets you into that flow state. If you enjoy things like that, it would be worth kind of adding that different experience to your scrapbooking page. And it really is its own experience, like I said. And then, of course, I've noticed with the nostalgia, like I mentioned, because of my mom, that I'm like, oh, that's another little nice added benefit of that.
A couple of questions.
Yeah.
Lisa Brennan was asking, are you using regular thread embroidery plus
yes.
any special needles? And Lisa Nardone Devitt also followed up with, are you using needlepoint thread? So a couple of questions on
yes.
thread.
Mm-hmm. Embroidery thread. This is, I have actually, Dave, you want to go get my whole stash of it? It's over on the side of that. I have like this container. I just keep it all in. You could do twine. I've definitely done this type of twine that you often purchase in yards that I've had forever. But, I definitely have this little jar of embroidery thread that I keep. And I've heard of some people doubling it. I don't tend to double mine. I don't think there's any situation so far that I've doubled personally. But it works great. Very inexpensive. I think that's why I also don't mind this technique. And it's one that I will reach for here and there. Like I said, simple, cute, not too technical, easy to accomplish, and get you into the flow state without constantly being kicked out of it. So that's super great.
Grandalia was just saying she got her treehouse set and she's so excited. And also was just following up on what the leaf is from, the big leaf.
So this,
which we mentioned earlier.
This is Made with Love. Yep, the Made with Love set. I'm trying to remember what year. I'd have to find my phone here. I'll go to the app really fast and look that up to see what year it was from, if you're a Kiwi Club member. Now, if you don't have the set, Friendsgiving, 50% off. You guys, I mean, there's so much. You either use the insides, you can put pattern paper in it, you could put pictures in it like the image you just saw. You could just do the outside leaf like I'm doing here. So I'm going to go to the DT checklist, which you just go to the App Store and check for the DT checklist. I'm going to search leaf, and we will see if it comes up. It does. It comes up with this one here, and it's November 2022.
So
Okay.
Kiwi Club kit,
November 2022. Yep. So as far as needles go, I actually picked up this needle package type deal. There's various sizes in here. I'm trying to remember what the needle size that I'm using right now is as far as the hole goes. I want to say that it's, oh gosh, it's probably a 5 by 2.6. I want to say is what I'm using. I should have planned on that. I picked these up and I can shoot over the Amazon link where I got them from. Very inexpensive again. So really, if you already have some border thread, like great way to use it. And then of course, if you need a needle, I ended up picking this up because I had one needle that I was always using and then I kept losing it. And so I was like, son of a gun, I need to do that. And then I need to get more because I tend to always lose it, like my scissors. And then I found this little pouch thing that's fabric. And so I put some needles out here and I just keep this in my scrapbooking stuff. And I know that, my sewing stuff is, my threading, whatever you want to call it, is in there. Okay. Stitching kit, my stitching kit.
Grandalia is saying, LOL, I am a member, probably have it. We'll go look for it.
There you go. And that's the whole thing about these Friendsgiving events. Rediscover some designs or maybe discover them for this first time for some of you guys. And what a great special deal if you don't have it to get during the Friendsgiving event. All right. Let me see here. I'll come back to that. You should just keep that, Dave, the Amazon in your thing. Maybe you already have it. I don't know.
Might be somewhere in the affiliate.
My computer is being kind of slow. Other tools. So we have this category that is called, there we go, other tools. And okay, there we go. I just put it in the chat. All right. So again, a whip stitch, very easy. It's my often go-to, or I do a running stitch. I put this little thing on top. Why did I do that? That is another great option, and that's literally just an up, down, up, back. Here, I'll show it to you really fast. Let me pick up my needle and thread it one more time because I just pulled it out. Okay, there we go. All right, so if you were doing just a running stitch, you literally would just go up, down. So you go up one hole, right? Up one hole, and I'm not going to go all the way through because I don't want to do a running stitch. And then you go down the next, and then you could just kind of do straight ones across, right? Up the next one, down the other one. You could do even back stitch. We're not going to go over all those stitches where you just go up the next and then back again like that to the one. So if I do this, maybe I'll stop it because I'm going to have to take this out because I actually want to add this to my page where you go back and then you go to the next one, right? That's a back stitch. Those are probably the most often that I use. There's definitely the blanket stitch and things like that. For me, I usually do running stitch or the whip stitch across the edge. I use probably the whip stitch the most. I feel like because if I'm going to go through the effort, I just think that it's the most noticeable as far as adding a little texture and things like that. All right. So let's say you run out of ribbon. I'm going to just cut this off and we'll start when I start a new one. I had that knot anyways. So if you run out of thread and you have to, because this is a big leaf, that's going to take some thread to do. Where did my seam? This is coming in really handy, guys. I just got to actually use it to pull things out. I think that's a keeper in my sewing stuff now. I don't think I want the hole puncher. Coincidence? And then I tend to use my washi tape here. I just had it on my table. There it is. And I just add a little washi tape to the back. If anybody has other like tips related to that, I'm just showing kind of my approach. Again, all of that's hidden. You're going to adhere that down on a page. No one's going to ever see that. And then of course you can see here when I started. So if I came back and I wanted to start my thread up again, I'd go up, pull it through, and then you can either merge it with the other tape or just add some other tape like so. And that kind of just holds it in place. And then I can go and, you know, do my stitches again like so. Okay. So that's a fun, again, just a refresher, a little bit of encouragement, a reminder to add some of those little textures and extra details to your autumn layouts, which is what this event is all about, bringing some of that fall inspiration into your layouts. And then along with that, to also, you know, encourage a little bit of adding different ribbons and sewing and, you know, those tactile elements that bring warmth and depth to your pages from time to time. Maybe you're one of those that you're like, on every page I like to stitch. Like I said, it's kind of a occasional thing for me, but I do enjoy it when I do it. There's no doubt that there's just calmness about it. It's not complicated. You don't have to overthink it unless, again, you want to be exact on your dots, then you might not want to do it. Okay. But I would even challenge you there to kind of look at it like we talked about, handmade, right? And that extra detail. But also if, I just think that's something I always find intriguing when people are like, oh, I don't know if I could do that. And then I'm like, but then they're like, I love your pages so much. And I'm like, well, if you love my pages so much, I'm not overthinking it. So the results, once you get to the finished result, it all comes together, right? Okay.
Lisa was asking on
yes.
one of your samples, I see you have a button. Did you sew it on the page?
The button? Okay, yeah, so we can go back to that view.
Oh yeah, it's this
yeah,
made with love one.
Yeah, so let me get my little button jar, which is kind of a mess here. You guys see my button jar? Yeah, so on that page, this is literally my process for buttons. Well, I'm not going to lie, it's not the best functional thing. But, you know, I've had buttons over the years, and this little thing holds. This is my brown and blacks. These are like my pinks. So I do have little jars that hold different ones. Yeah, so on that one, that actually was like it had 8 holes on it. This one has 2. I just thread it through. I just thread ribbon through or twine. In that case, I used thicker twine in that image that you're seeing, which I have some thicker twine here. And you just go down from the top. Twine's not the funnest to play with, I will tell you that, because it unravels. Yeah, and the same with these multi-twines. That's why I like to use embroidery thread, because this can unravel too, like the 2 colors can come out. But these, sorry, let me finish my button. I have to kind of trim it up as I go to get back so that it's not, I mean, you could put tape or something like that on, or you can add glue to the thing, like I said, but.
Welcome, Pam.
Or lick it. Because I'm allowed to, because it's mine.
Ruby says, I do a lot of embroidery, but never thought about doing it to my scrapbook.
Yes. I think you would enjoy it then. If you love embroidery, like definitely merge the 2 hobbies together.
Yeah.
So then with this, I just added twine to the middle of the button. Even in that case, I did an X, which I didn't tie it and then a knot like this one. I just tied it to the back and then did an X, and then I flipped my button and adhere it down this way. Mm-hmm. Or you could adhere it this way. So either way of your button, right? And this shall make its way to my page now too.
Just use glue or adhesive or
So if I'm doing it the other way, if you want to flip your button like this, then I use pop-up because it kind of has the head. Oh gosh, how would you explain the cave of it, right? The button of the concave. Yeah.
Room for it
Yeah. And so if that was the case, I would definitely come in with pop-up and place that under and then stick that on the page like that. And same thing, you can use glue dots or something like that to adhere that down. So anything more like that. Now, when I do that, which again, I'm little personally, I don't do it tons if they're thick buttons like this. I use flat buttons. Like I have some flat buttons from, oh gosh, I don't even know. I'm pretty sure these are from close to my heart way back in the day. But these other ones are things that I picked up at yard sales here and there. These are flatter, right? They don't have, I don't mind those, but when they are a little bit more thick like this, I'm a selective on how often I use them on my pages because I have moved past the phase where I like the texture and elements, but I don't like if it's too bulky because then it just pushes, when you put it into your album, it pushes into the other one. Now, I will do it from time to time. I just don't do it all the time. Okay. So like I said, I'm selective when I do it. But now talking about twine, of course, I have, whenever you buy twine, it's like this twine is going to last me forever. Like, unless I do some crazy project. But you can go back to the image again, Dave, on that. You could just wrap it around the base of the leaf, which I probably will do on this leaf. So I'll merge the stitching and then I'll probably wrap. It's just easy. It's just an easy little thing. That's what I'm saying. I feel like whenever I do fall pages, they're just so easy to add little things like this. They just call for it. They just speak to you, you know?
A season that asks for texture.
Yeah, it asks for texture. It does. And it asks for things like that. And so that's why we're doing this event. So you can kind of spread that out, do something like that. You can keep it long. You could trim it up. Totally up to you. Okay. I actually think it's kind of cute. Long. We're going to do it long. Like so. Okay. So taking a look again. Oh, Lisa says both of my parents' button boxes. Now I think I need to look at them for some. Yes, you should look for some cool buttons. I've always said we add little buttons, brads, but enamel dots here and there. Those are usually often what I do for filling centers, but not just filling centers with flowers. Like this little collective collage that we have going on here. I will say, once I get these templates cut out and a little leaf here, that could just be cute offset. Like it doesn't need to be a rhyme and a reason, or it could even be cute just right at the bottom of the leaf too. Or even right here at the tip of the pumpkin, right? Now we made this pumpkin. I did the modeling paste, which is another fun way to add texture techniques and dimension to your fall layouts. But definitely go check out that event from, oh gosh, was that Friday, Dave? I think it was from Friday. Yeah. I know. Yeah. So I won't go over that here, but definitely go check out that video and there will be that tip there. All right. So going back to our little screen share here. So again, made with love, discover it for the first time or rediscover it in your stash. It's a must. And with that, the autumn leaves, I've shared a little bit of layouts with autumn leaves and Patchwork of Memories, which is the paper I'm using right now too. Autumn, we got this cute little owl in the autumn set. So I want to just take a moment and highlight some of how awesome the autumn set is because naturally it's called after the season. So we must spotlight it. But I love just these, if you look close as far as what ribbons and textures are being added here. This is a page that Debbie did. And she did use burlap as the body of the owl. We're talking about buttons. Put a little buttons as the eyes. By the way, they don't have to be matching buttons. These are not matching buttons. All right. And she also took some, you can see thin twine right there. And she just rounded that up.
Kind of bundled it up.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then tucked it right underneath in that leaf. And so really when you do that, here, kind of go through this again. I'll take this twine, for example. I kind of take my 3 fingers right here, and this is thicker twine. I'll often do this with even sewing thread. All right. When you want to add that kind of effect to your layout, and just get as much as you want, as thick as you want. And then what you do is you cut this piece off. You guys see this? And then I just pull my fingers out, and then I wrap that piece around the middle. And then you can go in and, yeah, I should have done that longer with my nails. I can't. The nails limit me in some ways, but I like to get them done in all honesty, because then I don't pick up my cuticles. So sometimes we look at nails, we're like, oh, they're so pretty, but I have to it's practical. Yeah, it's practical for me, but I like practical, I guess, but they are a defense. So you just do that, tie it in the middle, and it becomes this little thing, and then you could tuck that somewhere, right? It could be, again, look how cute that just adds to the top of that. Okay. Now you can also do this with, you guys, I learned this years ago, and right when I saw someone use it, I'm trying to remember her name. Oh, it's like right on the forefront of my mind. Dang it. Right when I saw this happening, I went and got all my sewing thread and put it in with my scrapbooking stuff. Literally, here's my sewing. I went and grabbed all these little fine sewing things and put it with my scrapbooking. Because the same approach, if you want a thinner, not so drastic touch, right? Not such a drastic bulky touch, which, oh, by the way, I still think that's cute. And not too bulky. I do that a lot on my pages to test like how bulky something is. So same thing, just wind it up around your fingers. And sometimes I'll spread it out a little bit with the thinner stuff. And it just depends on where you want it. Did I do that on this page? Let me look. No, okay. So you can tie this, usually with the thinner stuff, I don't really actually tie it. I just take it, and I usually will take, a pop-up or something, and just stick those pieces together. I'll use the bigger pop-up, not the smaller pop-up, but let's see. Of course, when I need it, I can only find the thinner one. This room is a little bit of a mess. Anyways, I'll take the square, the bigger square, and I'll just stick it there so that it kind of keeps it all together. And then when I do that, I'll spread it out with my fingers and kind of spread it so that it looks, just a little bit not so refined. You want it to kind of feel spread out to give that texture look. And then I'll usually tuck it behind something. It's always kind of like hiding behind something, but it kind of just pokes out like that, right? So easy to do that too. Okay. So
Trisha Weaver says the pumpkin's adorable. Love the shine.
I know, it's so fun to see it. Yeah, it's fun to see it in person.
It's just a little dimension, right?
Yeah, so when we were doing this event last time, I was talking about the stencil features, 3 ways to use the stencils, which is the last event that we did. And it's also the replay is in the community, guys, with all the write-ups. And just actually in that write-up in our community is also the PDF, which is basically like a free idea book, which we threw that in there as well. So that's all resources and accessible through the community. But yeah, I use modeling paste on this. We tested it out, never did it before for whatever it's worth. I've never done it on the Harvest template. And it was really fun. And then I just added some white pen doodling around that. Now I think I'm going to add this to the top because it looks so cute. Yeah, it's so cute already. And it makes such an impact on the page. Okay, so another thing I wanted to share with you outside of those stitching and twine, I wanted to again, go check out the modeling paste because that's what I did on the top of Cozy Colors here, the big acorn from Cozy Colors. I didn't pull them all out to use them on my page, but I wanted to spotlight them as fun little techniques that you can, of course, do to add textures for those fall themed layouts, to add that warmth and depth to your pages. And I will say again, Cozy Colors, go discover it, go rediscover it, because it is so cute. I could use that big acorn on so many layouts, but when you see the stencil features on that, you could try out the modeling paste or the stenciling or the doodling that we covered in the last week's event. All right. Stickles too, by the way. How many of you guys have stickles that you're still trying to get through? I've not bought any new stickles in the last, I don't even know how many years. But I'm still working through them. Okay. So even then, when you have a little detail like the middle of that green leaf or the flourish in the yellow, you could add a little stickles on it. Stickles is a little finicky. It can be finicky, but again, I think that adds to the why it works so well with fall layouts, because it's kind of like when you see leaves in real life, right? They're not all the same and they're all a little bit wonky sometimes. They're not like perfect, right? Refined. They're not like that way. So I think that's why you can kind of get away with these more fussy or not perfected, like exact uniformed elements on your pages, because it adds to the fall vibe on your layouts. Now, of course, this was another fun tip. I forgot that this one was in here. I got to grab this stuff. So this is cutting it out of the borders. Let me see here. I actually have it. This layout. Oh my goodness. Let's see. This is another fun one for your fall layouts. Okay, guys. This is a tip that we did in the Kiwi Club PDF. So for those club members, you might notice this.
Anything in there they shouldn't see?
No. Yeah, you can come down. Sorry. Okay. I forgot that I did it. And so I'm glad that I had it in my album. But here's a closer look at this, where I took the leaf and actually used the tracing disc to trace it out of this strip. All right. And then cut another one out and then just layered that in there. Can you guys see that? Does that make sense? And then, you can actually see it really well being played out.
All the way down.
Yeah. So another fun fall, not really technical. It's not really texture, I guess. You can't call it texture, but it's a fun technique for those fall theme layouts. So definitely check that out. It's also in that Amazon link that we shared with you is these tracing disc. Okay. So super cool on that. Let me know if you guys are familiar with the tracing disc. If not, I can showcase that. Like I said, I forgot about that, or I would have had it prepped. So sorry, guys. We can swing it back around to it too. Okay, let me see. Okay, I couldn't help but mention this. Oh, actually, you see that thread right there in that layout that we're sharing? That's actually the layout I was looking for, is the brown thread. And I just popped it up actually behind a paper button here on the top of that little pumpkin. And the Scarecrow set, that's another one that's 50% off right now. Pulling in, of course, on the Scarecrow itself, I took a little bit of the raffia, stuff and tucked it up underneath there.
For like hair. And
yeah.
The feet.
The hair and the feet.
And all the edges.
I even did a burlap strip on this one. And then, of course, I remember creating this page during that Kiwi Club. I can't remember who did it. I got to remember, but Deborah or Mary, I can't remember. They fussy cut the little leaves out of the paper. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so fun. I could do that. And then, of course, you just use the circle and trace it on the background page, which for club members, we did the Tip Tuesday today with Mary. You can find that in the club membership space in the community. And she showed another one of her layouts doing the same technique with November's kid. So that's another fun technique for those November pages. Clearly, it makes you think of fall because dude, I could do this on many pages. I did it on a Halloween page. I did like so fun.
Kathy
All right.
says, "There's the thread."
There's the thread, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So twine it up on your hand, put it through. If you have thread in your home for other hobbies or needs, don't limit it. It can be on your scrapbooks as well. And again, thread is really the sewing thread. It's like 99 cents for the most part. You don't need anything fancy because you're not sewing with it. So really, really great. But Scarecrows, discover it, rediscover it in your stash. So much fun for these fall pages as well. And then I just shared this because, guys, I love the autumn set. I use it so many times. This is a recent page that I just created with the Spotlight and Echo Park. Or no, gotta stop saying Echo Park. Echo Point. Echo Point border. And it's not technically an autumn page. Actually, these pictures were taken in January. But overall, I just wanted the vibe to feel fun and family friendly, and trees have that effect. They symbolize family and they symbolize growth. And I love that. I love trees for that, for what they symbolize. But again, that autumn set is so much fun. Check it out. Okay, so let me go back to the down view here. Also looking at these few layouts that I was showing you in their approach. You know, the autumn tree I was just showing you how it's standing up. This is the one that I'm saying is sideways. So I have used autumn so many times over the years. I love the autumn set. Go discover it or rediscover it. Definitely during this Friendsgiving week that we're doing here, celebrating at Kiwi Lane. Oh, so many fun. I love creating fall pages. Now, another thing, whenever I see these type of windows, if you remember the Safari set, this one had a really fun window too. I love the Safari set. I have so many ideas that I want to create with the Safari set. I really enjoyed creating with that set. In this case, I combined it with Nature Walk, but I remember when I did this basic ribbon around the trim, how much I enjoyed it. And so when I was looking at this set here as well, right, from the Made with Love, this one also comes from the Made with Love that I'm using on this layout. I thought, oh, I should just do the same thing. So I actually have a little bit left of the same ribbon. Well, let's put it to use. I don't know about you guys, but ribbon's kind of one of those hit and miss for me. Twine and things like that, I find a little bit more use across different pages. For me, ribbon, either my most go-tos are, I'll just put it on a strip on my page, or things like this where I want to kind of frame it around something like so. Then I will go ahead and just add some liquid adhesives, a good amount whenever you're using ribbon. I just use a good amount. Sometimes I'll place my ribbon down and then put a book or something on it and then come back because I just want to make sure that it's good and sticky, like attached, you know? And then I'll just trim that up and then I'll basically trim in this little window. Now, in this case, you could put a picture, but I'm going to actually have this be a spot for my title. Okay. So just make sure that's good and sticked. And then I would do all the way around like so. Yeah, that's cute. So you're kind of adding the texture on both sides. I know that I talk about balance a lot on my pages. I will say with texture, I don't always feel the need to, like, if I have this ribbon here, have it on the other side. But I do want to make sure that I have the effect. Come on. Are you running out? Of course it does it live.
It's funny. Things last
I'll have to
for a
look
very
at
long
that.
time. Then
Yeah,
eventually
then-
they went out.
I don't know. I'm going to poke it again. Sometimes it can be finicky, but I will say I still love that glue thing. It can be finicky still, like all things.
Right.
We all have our days. Balance. If I do a little texture on this side, I would be satisfied if I had this on here and that was my balance. Like a little texture here. Yeah, not the same exact, but just some kind of symmetry and balance. I still look for that even in my details, not just in my pattern papers, but also in my details. Okay. So I'll go back and do that and add that all around, and I'll share my page once I'm done. Now the last texture.
I was going to say, LaDonna had asked, is that paper with a large circle available to purchase? I missed which paper she was talking about. I don't know those examples. One of the examples we were looking at.
Large circles.
It could have been.
Oh, on the screen shares.
Yeah.
Large circles.
Paper with a large circle.
Okay, I see trees. Is that the large circles that you mean?
Maybe the hexagons there.
Oh, maybe the hexagons? Or the circle? The Scarecrow one?
That circle there probably is what
Yeah.
That you just doodled on.
Yeah, I just do that on. That paper is from the Scarecrow's Harvest Memories, and that might be in the shop. I'm not quite sure if I remember it's part of the deals. I'll have to go check. Or David, you want to go check and see if it's part of the 50% off? Harvest Memories is that paper kit.
Okay, Harvest
Yeah.
Memories.
If that's the one we're talking about. Not sure, LaDonna, if that is. All right. So last thing, of course, is felt. I have added felt here and there to my pages like I shared in that first leaf. And this is, again, something easy that you can do. I have a little bucket that I keep all my felts on, and I use it a lot in my crafts. But if you want to use it on your scrapbooks, we were talking about the bulkiness, not too bulky, right? And you can add that to your pages as well. So in this case, I pulled out the autumn leaf because I love it so much, and I traced it onto some black paper because I tend to have a lot of scraps of black paper for some reason. But really, whatever scraps of paper, you want to use scraps of paper here. And then I did add some liquid adhesive, and I put it on and I glued it to the felt. This way you can cut it out easy this way. I've used freezer paper in the past, but actually this is a tip that Mary just shared, and it works great. I've tried it since, and definitely it's a great way to add those textures. And I will say, again, I always think of felt when I'm creating my fall pages. And then I would just go in, cut it out. Now, once you get it done, you could choose to tear off the paper, which probably I will. I mean, you could keep it on there, but if you try to glue it or adhere it to your page, and then you have an extra layer there. So personally, tear it off. Okay. As I thought through that, I was like, nah, just take it off. And then of course, use the other side so that it doesn't show all your messy glue that you had. All right. And then of course, the reason I'm saying tear it off, just in case in the future your layout, oh, that's pretty good on there. But just in the future, I would say you don't want this to be adhered down and then this layer starts coming off, for some reason. I don't know. But it is pretty good on there. I did add a lot of glue, which is probably why my glue is, which is why it's running out on my other stuff. But clearly, most felts, just do it slow, can take the beating. It can take the beating, and then you can just, again, I guess if you get too thin of felt, but for the most part, felt's pretty thick. Yeah. So there you go. Okay. And that's a fun way you can add little other textures to your fall layouts. Now I just got to cut that autumn acorn from the autumn set, and that finish the stitching around the big leaf. Okay. And then of course, throwing in some photos around here. I'm going to probably tack a photo here and here. and then here, here, and here. Okay. All right. Any other questions, Dave? We went through twine, we went through stitching, we went through felt, we went through ribbon, thread, and even modeling paste. Again, check out that video. So fun. Adding all of those things, if you have them in your stash, great ways to add the texture and the depth to these fall themed layouts. And again, keep it place friendly. So there's lots of techniques that you can incorporate into your pages as you play to create with the designer templates. Use your paper stash, highlight those patterns that we all love in our layouts, and let them really frame our most beautiful pictures in a wonderful way. And just enjoy, of course, the flow, the creative flow state, the creative process. And with that, the reflection and nostalgicness that comes as you focus on your life memories, that life is good and the good times. All of that's so great. Again, it really grounds you. It gives you the spirit of gratitude. And I think, again, that's why it's the best hobby in the world, because all of these things that we love so much about November, right? We get to experience all year long. We get to experience the warmth, the gratitude, the reflection, the nostalgia, the being connected to our family and our friends and those that are important to us, and the memories that we hold dear to us. And we get to frame those in a beautiful way on our scrapbooking pages. So thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. Again, if you haven't had a chance, check out the Friendsgiving, but I hope that these tips and reminders have encouraged you to either, again, go discover or rediscover some of these beloved sets in your stash or add them to your collection. You can't go wrong. Definitely take advantage of the 50% off these autumn themed sets.
Including some of those club kits.
Including those club kits. Patchwork of Memories, the paper kit.
There's one called The Sweet Life that has some of that.
Oh, The Sweet Life. There you go. Yeah, go check those out. There's some paper kits in there too. A few of them are in there. I love the Patchwork of Memories. I've already created like 8 pages out of this kit, and I'm going to create more. So, and it doesn't get old because the double-sided are paired so wonderfully that you could just flip, versatile, and you change it, and it, even using the same paper, the look changes as well. All right. Thank you guys so much. We'll check with you again in the community. Until then, keep playing to create. Bye now.